All right. So just give me 1 second, actually. All right. Well, hopefully that adjusts the screen. So usually I just have you. I don't see
Mhm.
myself, so I want to have both here. All right. So doing case study interview here with amazing client, friend, brother, Brandon Burns, and his experience over the last 6 months of us working together, going through these deep dives, coaching, and the transformation has been absolutely epic. So, start with you explaining a bit of where you were before we even started working together. Like where were you at when we had that like first conversation?
Yeah. Well, I thank you. First of all, I'm honored to do this interview. Where was I at right before? Um, I was in sort of a period of my time where I was in complete shutdown. I had just kind of moved to Colorado, upended my life for good. Became very much deep into my introspective mindset. Joined a bunch of courses, was figuring out my kind of purpose in life. And quit my job. And just a lot of ungrounded, open energy that I was in. I say ungrounded because at that time it was starting to become a little bit of an unwinding where I was shutting down. A lot of, I think trauma actually was coming up for me.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of sadness and kind of grief and just a heavy weight um, that was that I was putting on myself in terms of pressure. But
Yeah.
anyway, I kind of was in a place where I wasn't doing what I was setting out to do daily, kind of wasn't putting out content that I wanted to put out, wasn't getting tasks done that I needed to get done. Um, in general, was watching TV a lot more and distracting myself a lot more and just not feeling up to the challenge. Um, all while being stressed out and not being able to solve important issues like how am I going to support myself financially?
Hmm.
Um, and how am I overall going to be the man that I need to be, that I see myself uh, that I can be. That was kind of the place I was at. And yeah, I mean, timing worked out where we kind of talked. I reached out to you. We did you came onto my podcast, but you offered me kind of like a free insight, I guess, session, you could say,
Yeah.
as we were talking, which was actually very powerful and helped me gain a lot more clarity. And allowed me to give myself a lot more grace and patience with myself, and acceptance of the season that I was in and where I was at.
Yep.
And that's what ultimately led me to come out of that season, was accepting that I'm in this season and that it's okay to be in that season. And that's
Yep.
part of the journey. So that's kind of where I was at when we first started. And now 6 months, I mean, pretty much 7 months later now, um, in an unexpected way, I kind of just did a timeline shift into that. I think a lot of the work we did initially was kind of building up and preparing me for, the last, I'd say, month,
Yep.
where my external reality really began to just catapult into what I've already been working within myself and healing. So, the benefits, the external results, the internal results, are kind of hard to overstate because I can basically say right now I'm beginning to be the man that I've always wanted to be. And I'm just getting started. And I don't think I'm certain that I could not have been here without your help. And I think all the stars aligned, and I think the universe knew that it was time for me to work with you, for us to work together. So here we
Yeah.
are.
I appreciate that so much because the timing was really perfect. The what you were doing with the podcast, where you were at, how we were meeting, and then it made sense just to be in position to guide you back to
Yeah.
you, which is really
Yeah.
all that was. And I believe that before working together, you didn't work with a coach before? Like this was kind of your
I've
first
never worked
time?
with a coach before. I'd always done internal work, like reading up on courses or learning books and doing my self-integration, meditation practices. But I never worked one-on-one with a coach before. I never made that investment because I always felt like it was better if I worked on myself without any kind of structure.
Mm,
And for a while, I think that was true, but I think this was a very important season where I needed that like extra integration. And there's nothing like a one-on-one approach with someone else where you're being held accountable, and that just consistent interaction pulls you up, and keeps you on track. Um, and honestly, the work that we do, like the sessions, I think
yeah.
you really can't get doing yourself. You just can't.
Yeah.
Um, and that's probably the biggest value I got out of the experience overall.
Yeah, the accountability is kind of secondary to the deep dives that we were having.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Huge
so,
shifts were happening.
yeah, so let's articulate a bit of what problems were, what problems, challenges, obstacles were you facing internally, externally, in your reality, and what were the sessions doing to help relieve that? So give people a bit of a sense of like what were the problems you were kind of navigating? What were the difficulties that you were navigating to maybe see, maybe they're experiencing something similar and how the sessions were in us approaching and healing those, relieving those, and finding a solution to those problems.
Yeah, I love this question. Overall, I would say the overarching um, roadblock I was coming within was self-belief, um, and releasing a lot of guilt and shame around um, being the ultimate masculine figure that I was seeking to be.
Mm,
And this has been a major theme in my life, and I had done intense, incredible breakthroughs and work before we started. And I think with the challenges that I was facing, that was the final kind of catalyst to be like, listen, all this needs to really be let go. Like this is the final calling forward of that. And that's why I was
yeah.
struggling. And that's why I think I needed that one-on-one. So to get a little bit more specific, a lot of self-esteem issues, a lot of self-worth. I can speak on a couple of powerful sessions we had. One was me coming to the realization that, my father, God bless him, he's a great father, very kind, warm, present in my life, but wasn't maybe the strongest masculine figure in terms of guiding me with, you could say, masculine direction. And
Yeah.
and um, and so, for example, like when it came to sports, I always felt inferior. I felt scared. I felt just like I couldn't compete. I remember I was always terrified at the Little League at bat. Like I just wanted it to be over. I didn't care. I didn't believe I could ever hit. Never got a hit. Maybe I walk every now and then. And just in that intense session, I was just again, I was right back at that kid again. It's like, right back in that moment. And when I realized that that actually had a profound impact on me, that kind of was one of the first things that gave rise to all my self-esteem issues, why I never felt good enough, compared myself to my friends, was um, never having that radical self-belief. And so going within, I became the father figure to my younger self again,
Mm,
to give myself that empowerment and to forgive my father for, wherever he was at his life where he couldn't give that to me, and hugging him. Um, a lot of crying and a lot of release of that energy.
yeah.
A lot of release around another session we had around the trauma, around some personal issues with my dad that I kind of took on that I didn't realize unconsciously, because I never felt it necessarily, but maybe
Yeah.
perhaps genetically, perhaps unconsciously, I it was brought on to me. And it wasn't until we really had a breakthrough session that I realized that, wow, actually that has a huge, profound impact on me in terms of like guilt and shame around pursuing women. Um, and so, um, yeah, I would say probably, I don't know, we had 12 sessions. I think 10 or 9 of them, I just bawled my eyes out for during the intense healing, which is what you need, especially for men, where we do a lot of like masculine work on ourselves, kind of redirecting our thoughts, meditating, and all that's very important. Discipline is super important for men, and that's part of our curriculum too.
Yeah.
But also, if we can't get in touch with our emotions, if we can't release, if we can't hold space as men for each other, um, there's a huge deficiency that cannot be filled without tapping into that kind of feminine healing of radical self-forgiveness, self-love, releasing emotion, tension in the body. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like a brief overview of some of the powerful things that I released that I mean we can talk about if you want what are the external results that kind of came through for me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Speak on that because what you just mentioned about, we're doing the discipline stuff, we're doing the masculine side of things, we're tracking our habits, we're pushing
yeah,
ourselves, we're doing the lunges, and all of that's amazing, right? And you can speak about obviously the external sides that happened from that.
yeah, my
And
physique.
yeah, the physique, you getting into, finding a new job, and career that's even more aligned, like that whole story of how that happened, getting into a relationship, from the most like masculine way you could have done that, not through Hinge, and how important it was for us to go into the root cause of why you weren't
Yeah,
believing in yourself. Why weren't you stepping into your actual king energy, your leadership? Why were you not believing in yourself? Why was your relationship to women and approaching women or sex or dating, whatever all of it encompassing, why was that there, right? We didn't touch the surface of it. We touched the root of it, which is going to lead likely to crying,
yeah,
releasing energy that was stuck instead of trying to discipline yourself through it, actually
yeah,
going into the hardest, deepest part of ourselves, which is what you did there. So just reiterating that of how important that is, and you did it. Like that's the doing 400 meters of lunges is easy when
yes,
in comparison to that.
yeah. But actually facing yourself, oof, God forbid we should do that. That's like
Yeah.
we'll do anything to avoid that, consciously, subconsciously,
Wow.
for our whole lives, for some people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so you did that. And what were the kind of the external results that you saw from doing that work?
Yeah, well, um, part of it was career wise. So I put a lot of pressure on myself in terms of like being this content creator, in terms of kind of men's work. And I left my job, but I really wanted to go back to I did crave my old kind of career in many ways. I'm a physician assistant. I used to work in, well, now I still work in critical care, ICU. Um, but just trying to find the right job that wouldn't rob me of my bandwidth, that would pay me well, that was good enough hours where I wasn't getting burnt out. That was what I was sort of craving. And I was going back and forth between New York and Colorado. And eventually things resolved where I said, you know what, I had this good arc in Colorado. I gave myself grace. I forgave myself. I cried and said, I did my best, but I think it's time for me to go back to New York where there are better opportunities. And this great job landed on my lap, which checked off all my boxes, which I never would have expected.
Yeah.
And now I have just as much nearly just as much bandwidth, if not more bandwidth, because of the new kind of regimen and discipline and structure I have with this job that is
Hmm.
helping me be more structured in terms of now working on how else can I serve in the world in terms of making content, restarting my podcast, trying to be more of a leadership, stepping more into a leadership role, just in my day-to-day life, but also online as well. So that feels very much like I'm aligned and on my path and executing and making moves and progressing and evolving.
Yeah.
Whereas before I felt completely stuck,
Mm.
just like in quicksand. Um, and then the other one, which is huge for me, was stepping into this new relationship that I'm in with honestly the woman of my dreams. The more I get to know her,
Mm.
and the way, like you said, it was in a way where it wasn't unhinged. I was craving a natural masculine, man pursues a woman. Like I needed to be in my fullness of that. It happened. I just met her at work. I had the intention of asking her out. And part of our one of our session was one of our realization was it's not about the fear of rejection necessarily. It's just that I didn't have the self-belief to do it. Like I just wanted the freedom to be able to do it without any attachment to the outcome. And that is actually
Yeah.
what feels good. That is what feels empowered when you're detached from whatever happens. And you say, I want to just pursue for the sake of pursuing. Like feeling
Yep.
like I can, feeling like that's within my realm, she's within my league. I never
Yeah.
really had that pursuit. She's a beautiful woman, like amazing. She's older, a mother. So that really calls forward the man in me. And 2 years ago, I mean, even before we started working, I would have been totally intimidated by that and not even attempted to even think that we could be together.
Yeah.
And now here we are,
Just
and
6 months ago.
yeah, and now here we are, and we're in this amazing relationship, this amazing thing, feminine, masculine dynamic where it's just everything's clicking on every level, even down to, the bedroom where
Yeah.
it's fire. What can I say? It's all about the intimate connection we have. So that to me, I mean, felt like it. I honestly felt like I was still years out from
Mm.
that like final manifestation. I knew I would find the woman that I would be with, but I just didn't think it would be this soon. But in hindsight, now that I'm here, I'm like, it makes sense. Like, of course, like this is who I am, and I'm meant to move forward with her as my own man, obviously. But yeah, it's all the more empowering and all the more disorienting too. So that we're doing more work. I'm still working with Oliver. We're just getting
Yep.
going. We're just getting the ball rolling. So
Yeah, yeah, we just built the foundation.
mhm.
We just removed all the things in the way of you stepping into your God-given purpose, right? We
Yeah,
just got rid of we were just, relieving all of the energetic kinks and blocks, stopping you from stepping into your kingship, and now from that kingship, right, actually, kind of healing the boy so the man can emerge. And now it's like, what do I want to create from here? And
yeah,
so the first 6 months was really getting you in this position you're in now. And we can't deny that because of your energy that this relationship manifested, because of the work that we did, that this relationship manifested. Because you even just said 6 months ago, you weren't even you weren't
no,
even on Hinge. You weren't going out on dates. You weren't approaching
no,
women. You weren't even that wasn't even in your like stratosphere. Like you weren't even thinking about it. You couldn't think about it.
mhm.
And now in position of being a leader in your work, right?
Yeah,
Getting the job that you did want in the parameters that you did want, checking every
yeah,
box,
yeah,
your investments, you know, going up like crazy, right?
yeah,
Mastering your wealth and having the balls to approach a woman that you wanted to ask out and being detached from it, like having the
yeah,
freedom to just ask her out. And then
yes,
boom, being like, whoa, this is exactly what I've wanted.
yeah,
And it's continuing to manifest in the good fortune that you have created for
yeah,
yourself.
absolutely. It's been a crazy timeline shift, and sometimes it's like I'm waking up in a dream. But I mean, I feel like it never feels overwhelming, like where I'm not the man I need to be to hold this. Like I feel like no, like this is
Mm.
just effortless. It's just naturally a result of who I've become. So uh, we're just getting started. Like I said, I'm excited for what's coming in store for me in 2025.
Yeah. Yeah. So exciting, exciting things. Why don't you give a little, um, just touch on a bit of the physical stuff that we did too. So kind of maybe going over the different archetypes of how the king is showing up, how the warrior is showing up, how the magician and lover have been, how all four of those archetypes are really being integrated right now so
Yeah,
that people can get a sense of like, oh, okay, this is what it means to work on the king, work on the warrior, work on the magician, work on the lover.
great. Yeah. So, right now I'm very much in that king energy. I'm in my brand new apartment. I'm in this new job, which I'm pretty much have a lot of responsibility as like the PA on the floor, taking care of all the ICU sick patients, a lot of autonomy, a lot of responsibility. Um, I'm in the king energy and managing my wealth and making investments and using moving money wisely, um, and then all my physical workouts and all that. And basically, the work we've been doing to kind of help solidify that on a physical level has been daily lunges, 400 millimeters, or 400 millimeters, 400 meters. One step and you're done with 400
Yeah.
millimeters. I'm a mountain biker, so I'm used to measuring travel in millimeters.
Yeah.
So, 400-meter lunges, daily workouts that are tailored to you that will help with your goals. Like for me, it was building muscle, getting stronger, which I am in the best physique for sure in my life, in terms of just lean mass.
Yeah.
Um, and yes, besides just those kind of physical workouts, I mean, the internal work we do, like the meditations, the journaling, the reflections, that helps you get into the king energy because you kind of want to integrate all the parts within yourself. So there's like the scared boy within you, there's the warrior, there's the magician, there's the lover, there's the hurt child, there's, all these aspects that are the trickster, you could say. There's all these
Yeah.
shadow aspects of the archetype and the mature archetypes and the boy and the man. And if you get in touch with the kind of internal dialogue within you, you realize that there's different push and pulls within you. So one exercise we did was kind of in the morning, I would journal and kind of meditate and just kind of act as the king at the round table. And all these archetypes are in front of me. And I'm listening to all the voices, giving them credence, hearing at them out. Kind of like a king has to hear out his subjects' concerns and then execute and make decisions and come to a resolution within yourself.
Mm.
Um, and that helps you make decisions and be the warrior. In my work, I'm very much in the warrior energy. I have to make decisions under stressful circumstances. Um, and um, my girlfriend, who obviously is at my work, picks up on that. It's part of the warrior archetype, which is part of the masculine kind of polarization. Um, doing and that the lunge is a very prime example of getting into that warrior energy of just
Yeah.
extreme focus. I was focusing on just doing it without any emotion. I actually stopped listening to music altogether. I just raw dog it and just
There
do
you
it.
go. Hell yeah.
Yeah, just don't even listen to music. I'm just dead face and just do my 400-meter lunges on the beach, and just focus on breathing through the nose, and that just helps with discipline, and just the real energy of I have radical self-belief. No matter what happens, no matter if everything is collapsing around me, which it was, when we first started. I know that all I can do is just keep pushing forward, which is like the very heart of like that masculine
Yeah.
warrior energy is just never give up. Even if you're about to die, you just never give up. You keep fucking going,
Yeah.
which was huge for me in my all my pursuits in my life, wealth, women, career. So all of it's very much, I would say, a balance of the masculine and feminine kind of integration to help get in touch with these archetypes, the king, the warrior. The magician is sort of that a lot of the internal work we were doing, the
Yeah.
alchemization of emotions, the healing and release during our sessions, reflections, just when I would go in nature and solitude, like post session, for example.
Yep.
And then the lover is basically, I'd say I've very much been in touch with a lover throughout most of my life. I'm very passionate about the finest things in life, adventure, travel, great food. And that's really actually come out, I would say, in my new
Yep.
relationship, where my girlfriend is saying like she's never encountered a man so passionate, um, both in and outside the bedroom. Like it just, she's like, are you real? Like I don't believe that men like you exist. And I was like,
Yes,
yep.
that's right
I
there. That's the
I was
that
like, I
that's the
was like,
quote.
actually, I'm a Terminator robot. I'm here to. I was just joking with her, but yeah. And that's what women want in this world. They want real men. And real men don't push their emotions down. They face them, and they like a warrior. In their own, in its own. They approach feminine healing in its own masculine way. I'd say,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Because if we're not healed and we're not the man we need to be, your woman will pick up on it and she'll be unfaithful. She'll, not out of malice, she'll just, or, she'll leave you or find someone else because you need to be the strong man that you need to be to hold her. So, yeah, I think that's a good recap of the
Yeah, no,
archetypes,
though
I'd say.
that was
Feel
amazing.
free to add anything you think I missed.
And that well, I just see all those parts, all those archetypes being integrated. And there's always shadow archetypes coming up here and
Yeah.
there. But the leadership that we stepped into for you and how the new job and career that you're in is creating that leadership, how you're just leading yourself in terms of your money, your wealth,
Yeah.
your investments, your protection of your money, getting a new apartment, making decisions and finalizing those decisions, right? I was never guiding you to any which way. It was more so like
Yeah.
what inner guidance within you is finding like what's right and what feels right.
Yes.
And I would always challenge them just to see like if you were
Yeah.
really serious so that you could come to like, yeah, actually, yes, New York is the move and it feels
Yes.
good and it feels final. So there's not that
Yes.
indecision of like, oh, I'm moving here because of this or that. And
Yes.
that was super important. And there was just these moments of importance of even just doing the lunges. They're hard as hell. Doing 400 meters of lunges is like it's probably 350 to 400 plus lunges of just like nonstop for whatever time you can get. And that's tough. But that itself creates this like, oh, I can get through hard things. Like I can do hard
Yeah.
stuff. If I can do these
Yes.
lunges, like cool, I can eventually approach, a woman and
Yes.
releasing, I think that was a big thing, right? Just like reiterating, releasing the need for the result of you approaching a woman
Yes.
allowed you to free yourself, allowed you actually what you actually wanted was I just want freedom to approach. I don't even
Yeah.
like, right? Because once you release the need for it to like anything to happen from it, you're actually free.
Yeah.
No longer bound to it potentially not working. So that's why men don't do it. And then seeing the seeing the result and feedback, which is the biggest feedback, right? Like I'm a
Yeah.
mirror, but your biggest mirror is going to be the woman you're with. The feedback from
Yeah.
her is the really only quote we need for anybody watching this is if your woman is saying that and she's in awe of like, are you real? Then
Yeah.
that's showing you that what you've been doing is working because yes, women want passion. Women want
Yeah.
discipline. Women want that like when you say you're going to do something that you do it, that you're leading, that
Yes.
you can take responsibility. You know how to manage yourself. You know how to manage your emotions and that you express those that you show emotions as well. Like again, that's passion. Like
Yeah.
having passion for life is super important and that you can show that in the bedroom and in life in general.
Yeah.
And most men are not passionate. Most men are too stoic, and you have to have
Yeah.
both. You have to
Right.
be a fully integrated man, and maybe you can touch on this too after I say it, but to be a fully integrated man, you have to have your own internal balance of masculine and feminine energy.
Yes. And what I'd add to that is there's different moments where you need to be more so the other. Like, for example, if there's danger, for example, you pretty much just shift right into the warrior. Like, and you're just fully in the warrior in
Yeah.
that moment. And then there's other moments where you drop a little bit more into the feminine frame when you're relaxing with your girlfriend or your wife or your woman, whatever. And you're just enjoying a blissful picnic. I don't know. Um, there's fluidity. There's a nuance. There's a dance almost. And as you get more integrated, that becomes more intuitive and that becomes more natural. Um, but yeah, different archetypes need to express themselves in different types. But overall, that whole fluidity, I feel like, is where the king shines through, where he's able to be that prime, strong, masculine leader when needed and when called for, and also is loved by his subjects, his people, the relationships he has with everyone.
Yeah.
He's kind, he has a connection, there's an intimacy with his kingdom. Um, People feel safe around him. They feel warm, they feel uplifted.
Yep.
And that's how, people feel at work towards me, which my girlfriend told me, which I felt, and that's how she feels around me, just in general. So
Mm,
yeah, I would say I'm definitely I've never felt more like a man in my life than right now. I
mm,
think I never even we all grow up and we go through adult phases and we do adult things, but I feel like I'm just beginning to step into the fullness of a man, and that's amazing and huge. So
mm.
thank you for that. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man. This. And this journey is for everyone, but not everyone is for it.
Yeah,
And it's taking a leap. There's no initiation for men right now to go from a boy psychology to like mature masculine psychology to like what
yeah,
does it mean, right? This question of like what does it mean to be a man? Like when do I know I'm a man? Is it a certain age? Is it getting a job? Is it getting a house? Is it having a wife? Like no, none of those things mean
no,
anything externally because if you still don't feel whole in your
yeah,
being and having clarity in where you're going, having the discipline and devotion to do the work that it takes to build that, having a connection to yourself with introspection, with reflection, with spirit, and having actual passion and compassion for yourself and love for yourself. And that's not complete. You're not a man yet. You just have fancy things and a lot of
yeah.
toys and a lot of external things to say, oh, I'm a man. But in reality, you don't feel like it inside.
No,
And the women in your life and the people in your life are going to reflect that back to you.
yeah.
So what you're saying is that's being mirrored back to you right now.
Yeah. I feel like everything could be taken away from me, and the person that I am would not change at all. I get it all back somehow
Mm.
because it's not about what's around me, it's about who I am. And that's the ultimate freedom. That is the king energy is being that. It's greater than anything you could ask for. It's
Y-
freedom.
Yeah,
So,
is a king because his kingdom, or is a king because that's just who he is?
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it's a question to introspect about. And with that, what would you maybe say to anyone who's any man who's maybe going through the same problems or experiencing some of the same things that maybe you were experiencing before we started, or they're not yet in that space where they could really say like, yeah, like I feel like a man and I truly believe in myself. And just what you said, everything could be taken away from me, and I know that I could get it back. Like, I really, truly believe in myself. I feel confident with women. I feel confident with my work. I feel confident with money, and I feel confident in myself. And I have a connection with God, and I'm not afraid to approach my emotions and heal. Like, what do you want to say to a man that's maybe not there right now and does want that, but is maybe a little scared, a little afraid, unsure?
Yeah. I would say first, just know that where you're at is the perfect place. This is where you need to be. So don't be too hard with yourself on judgments. You're exactly where you need to be. And then I would challenge you to um, really just come to that devotion and full focus of I can and I will invest in myself. Like, don't be afraid to invest in yourself, whether that's a course, with Oliver or just anything like a one-on-one relationship is monumentally beneficial. And I was in a kind of spot where I'm like, oh, I can always do these things. I'll do my own meditations. I can work on it. But like having that healing, a one-on-one session, multiple sessions in a row with someone like Oliver, is something that you just can't get doing by yourself. The relationship that you get with your coach, helps both you and your coach, honestly. I think we almost kind of synchronize in our journeys ourselves. So I would say, yeah, just give yourself grace, patience, acceptance, forgiveness, and understanding for where you're at. If you feel weak, just accept that. Weakness is part of strength. Like accepting that is the first step to becoming strong.
Yeah.
Is giving yourself that radical self-love, and then that radical self-belief will come next. And then after that radical self-belief becomes action, and after that action comes progress and growth, and that leads to transformation. So this is the first step. Just accept yourself and love yourself
Mm,
and invest in yourself.
beautiful. Beautiful. And I have one final question, um, articulated by you. How would you, what would you describe it is that I do?
That's a great question. I would say ultimately you help men grow up and become true men and leaders in the world by integrating their shadow aspects of themselves with both masculine and feminine healing to bring men into the fullness of the four masculine archetypes, the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover, in order to help the world heal and grow.
Love that.
That's what I would say.
Hell yeah. So if you guys want to experience some of the magic that has happened here, obviously you can reach out, schedule a call, and we can get connected. And if anybody wants to connect with you, do you want to give them your Instagram?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I you can follow me at B Brandon Lawrence. That's two B's, B Brandon Lawrence. That's my Instagram handle. That's probably the best place to connect with me. You can send me a DM,
Yep.
and we can talk.
Yep. And it's is your podcast on the Instagram?
Podcast is on YouTube, called Wondering Where the Lions Are. You can look up Brandon Lawrence. That's my YouTube name. And yeah, I'm in the process of starting up more episodes. I have a next guest scheduled. So I will be doing that hopefully at least once a month, maybe even more. Um, so yeah, you can follow along for some cool content along the lines of masculine men's work and this sort of journey. So yeah,
Epic. Awesome. Well, thank you for all of those insights. Thank you for you committing to this journey. And anybody watching this, thank you. And you know what your next step is.
thank you.
Peace.